There's only one reason why Dylan Kearns decided to show up today on this show. Tell him why, Vinny.
I've been on Monday, Wednesday every
Breaking
time.
news came in earlier today that the Indianapolis Colts were acquiring Matt Ryan in exchange for it was a third-round pick that the Falcons got in exchange for Matt Ryan after failing to acquire Deshaun Watson. The Colts have got Matt Ryan. Dylan, you were all over this story apparently. And yeah, you were all over this, and for some reason you were so hyped about the Indianapolis Colts during the Deshaun Watson madness.
Not hyped. I was upset.
You love the
worried.
Colts.
No, I don't. I was worried.
That's all you've been talking about. I had to mute our group chat because all you wanted to talk about was the Indianapolis Colts. I'm sorry, but we don't care about the Colts.
I'm not okay. I'm not a. I'll break this down here right now. But I mean, you look at this, and I said it in the chat, right? The reason I was worried, I'm a Jags fan, AFC South, right? The Colts quarterback away from being good. We think we all know that, right? I see the rumors of Deshaun Watson potentially going to Atlanta, and I'm like, crap. The only place Matt Ryan's going to be moved, he's not going to the Saints in division, Panthers in division. The only other team that needs a quarterback is Indianapolis. So I was worried there. That is what I was worried about. Not, oh my gosh, the Colts are going to get Matt Ryan. I'm not a Colts fan. Bottom line is, this is a good move for. This is a big move for the Indianapolis Colts. They had to get a quarterback. I think we could all agree on that front. They elected to go to the veteran. I know they said they were worried about Jimmy G's shoulder. I think Rossini from ESPN reported that. Worried about Jimmy G's medicals and his health. They know the character concerns if they were to acquire a Baker Mayfield. Matt Ryan right here steps in. He's a veteran. This is a win-now roster, and I think that he brings that leadership that he's still not far off from his MVP performance he's put up a few years back, where, I mean, he's still putting up pretty solid numbers. I think this also gives Colts a sense of direction where they could play him out a year or two, whatever, and draft a quarterback when they finally get another first-round pick starting next season.
So what I heard today, I heard people comparing Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz, and when you look at the two guys, and obviously Carson Wentz is much younger than Matt Ryan, they made the comparison of Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz being like almost the same exact type of athletic style quarterback, where they're the same type of athlete at the quarterback position. They're not really athletic, I should say, but they're very similar in terms of what they do at the position. Aaron, what I'm trying to get to here is for you to tell me what the actual difference is that Matt Ryan is going to be able to bring to the table that Carson Wentz could not.
Well, I'll start twofold here. Matt Ryan is a statue, okay? He's not moving. Right. Carson Wentz is actually athletic. He's mobile. He can move around. He can create opportunities that Matt Ryan can't. But let's make one thing very clear. Matt Ryan is not going to put his team in a position to lose games as often as Carson Wentz. Matt Ryan is a consummate professional. He's a guy that he has great vision on the field. He's a veteran. He's done it before. Dylan mentioned the MVP. He's the guy that went to a Super Bowl, probably should have won one, but he's thrown for 4,000 yards a number of times. He's a leader. The only concern I have here with Matt Ryan really is the age. How far apart are him and Phillip Rivers when he joined that Colts team? But I do think he's going to bring that veteran leadership that Carson Wentz couldn't bring. And then also not make the mistakes in crucial moments, in critical spots in a game. And when you give him a running game like Jonathan Taylor, hopefully a solidified offensive line, even though they lost a couple of pieces there, and a pretty good defense, I think that's a win for the Colts. I don't know if it's going to put them over the top, in which I think was what they're looking for, but it's definitely an upgrade over Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Dylan, where does this put the Colts in this dogfight of an AFC? I mean, we've talked all the time about the fact that the Chiefs rated that entire AFC West is just battling for the top spot in the AFC. Where do the Colts rank in this? And I mean, we've talked about it on the show. Even we all got very excited when we talked about how the Jacksonville Jaguars could be the second best team in the AFC South. Now that this move happens, might push us back a little bit further, but where does this move put the Indianapolis Colts in the AFC?
In the AFC as a whole, it puts them at maybe a wild card spot, maybe a division champ. I think they can compete with Tennessee for sure. I do question their weapons outside. I know Michael Pittman's good, but you can't win with just one in this league. I think you need more on that outside. I mean, right now, It's Michael Pittman, it's Ashton Dulin, and Strachan is the other wide receiver. So they don't have much going on there. They lost Chester Rogers an offseason ago to Tennessee, who was a little bit good for them. They lost T.Y. Hilton this offseason. You saw Pascal move. Talk about him a little bit later. But, I mean, I think the weapons are still a concern here for this Indianapolis Colts team. I think maybe you bring in Julio Jones, potential reunion there with Matt Ryan, or someone that could catch balls on the outside to help draw the attention off of Michael Pittman. I think that's when you can seriously talk about them as a deep playoff contender. But right now, I think they're on the fringe of that wild card territory, and they did get better with the loss of Carson Wentz and the addition of Matt Ryan.
I didn't even think about the Julio Jones connection, how he's still out there, and that didn't even pop in my head. But I think that is a good connection, and I mean, who knows? Maybe Julio Jones can stay. Okay, no, he's not going to be able to stay healthy. We're not going to
playing in a dome.
I think T.Y. Hilton actually is going to go back. I think T.Y. Hilton's going to come back to Indy. You can shake your head all you want, but having T.Y. Hilton back is a win, especially with Matt Ryan at quarterback. Having a veteran to go alongside Michael Pittman outside of a Paris Campbell right now, that would be a win for Matt Ryan. And then if you can go get another piece or even draft a young wide receiver, we know this is a deep wide receiver class. I actually think the Colts have a very legitimate shot to win this division. But even if they win the division, they're still going to be the 6th best team in the AFC.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, yeah, they can win the division all they want, but they still will be very far behind the other top dogs in the AFC. And with this move of Matt Ryan leaving the Atlanta Falcons today, the Falcons decided to go out and sign Marcus Mariota, who has the connection with Arthur Smith in their days in Tennessee. Is this move? What do the Atlanta Falcons? What are they doing at the quarterback position? Do you see them going a quarterback here in this draft early, or are they trying to build on the run and try and compete in this NFC South, Aaron?
I think Marcus Mariota is a bridge quarterback. That's why you give him a 2-year deal, right? It's not somebody that you're saying, oh, we're just going to play 1 year and we're probably going to look for a guy this year. They might draft one. I don't think they'll use a top pick to draft one, but I do think he's a bridge quarterback for the chance to get a franchise guy. Maybe they wait till next year's draft if they feel like that draft class has a little bit more, kind of oomph at the top of the draft. I think he's just kind of that stopgap. He's a veteran. He's been in the league a while. He played well as a backup behind Derek Carr. I think he can come in and be successful. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to win games, but he has the mobility behind a bad offensive line. You can use him differently, the read option and stuff like that, getting him out in space. He'll have enough experience under his belt to where he'll be able to make some plays and kind of keep them afloat to kind of start rebuilding, right? They have so many holes on that team that they need to fill. I think he can just be that guy. Okay, we're putting him back there. We know what we're going to get with him. We're not expecting him to go win a Super Bowl, but he'll kind of bridge us between what we have and Felipe Franks as a backup versus what we're going to get, which is our quarterback of the future here in the next couple of seasons.
They have a lot of holes on that roster. You mentioned I question the wide receivers, question the line, and I like Marcus Mariota, but I mean, I'm still going to question him a little bit. Like Cordero Patterson has to be a beast. I think he's the only offensive weapon that I think you really want to consider right there. Kyle Pitts as well. I forgot about Kyle Pitts. That's on me. But I do know my buddy Mitch, he texted me. He goes, really? First Freddie Freeman last week, now Matt Ryan. My 2 favorite Atlanta sports icons are gone. And he's like, he was definitely upset about that. But, it's tough. It's got to be tough for Atlanta Falcons fans. You lose your franchise quarterback. He was there from the Roddy White days, the Tony Gonzalez, the Michael Turners, the Dirty Birds, all that good stuff, making a Super Bowl run. And, I mean, he's gone now. So, I mean, it was a big financial commitment. They do get 9 off the cap, as you saw in the graphic earlier. But that's still pretty nice. They did have to eat about $40 million. But, I mean, it's still a nice move there. I mean, it's a hard move to make. But you finally part ways, and now you get a chance to potentially build a future in Atlanta, which they could potentially do. And you mentioned, I have one more point. Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's good. That's really the one team in the division that's really good right now. Getting a little bit older, that's probably the time the Falcons should rebuild, potentially jump up to the top of that NFC South if they could get there in a few years.
I mean, you think about it. Matt Ryan is getting what he deserves. Like Atlanta – they were eating $40 million regardless, right? And they knew that, but they said, look, man, we're not winning. We're not going to win. Matt Ryan, by the time we can rebuild the roster around Matt Ryan, he's going to be too old. Why not find a suitable partner that fits what Matt Ryan's trying to do, which is have a good run game, a good defense, and possibly win. And it fits with Indianapolis. So they did right by him by allowing him to leave, still eating the $40 million, and they created a little bit of cap space. They finally are committing. To me, this is the first sign that they are committing to a rebuild and not this whole reload, retool thing that we saw the beginning of last year, where they were making up stories about how they were just going to reload, and it really didn't seem like they were. So Cordero Patterson said he'll play quarterback if he has to. So, I'm sure he'll fit right in there. But Atlanta has they got some promise. They do have a good young star in Kyle Pitts. They obviously have some good young pieces on defense that still are trying to grow, but they can go ahead and get better, right? They use this draft to go get picks, get better, surround Marcus Mariota with some playmakers. Maybe you go out and win a couple of games, do better than you think you're going to do, and people want to come play there again. It's tough. They're in a rebuild, and it's going to be tough for a couple of seasons. But I think they did right by going and get a quarterback that can kind of keep the ship afloat and not just some random rookie or somebody that we don't really know about. And then every week we're asking, well, who's going to replace them and what's going on here and what's Atlanta doing? I think this kind of settles that talk down a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. And this is, I think they're still better than Carolina. I think Atlanta is still better than Carolina right now. I mean, depending on who they get at the, no?
I'd take a Sammy D Panthers team over a Marcus Mariota.
That's tough. I think Carolina has more talent. Carolina definitely, especially if Christian McCaffrey is there and healthy.
That's fair.
I think they would have more talent.